We had a request to come in as a result of one of our live chats, the one we did in October of 2025, and where we are right now, that was last month. The chat, what color is in color? And if you want to find it, go to our channel page, and in the menu, click on live, and you'll find all of our live chats there. Look for this one, and then maybe this will make a little bit more sense to you. So anyway, the request is referring to that chat. One area I have trouble is placing the tube color on the color wheel. I know it resides on the circumference and heads towards the middle depending on its neutralization, but finding that right spot on the wheel is difficult. Yeah, I'm going to give you a little trick here. All of you should know this, really. Well, the best way to do this is to first find where the hue is of your tube color. Where is the hue located here? And then where does the neutrality go? I'm just using this regular color wheel here, but we do have one free for you on DianneMize.com, our lessons downloads website. We have a lot of free stuff for you, and one of them is what I call the intensity wheel. I've quit using the term intensity and now using the term saturation because it says it better. But that wheel gradates the neutralities from where it just begins to be neutral towards the middle is where we consider the location on the wheel that all hues are neutral because all hues are mixed together. But first of all, let's take this thing one step at a time, show you how to identify your tube colors. If you don't know what hue's in the color, mixing that color into another color is going to be a guessing game unless you already know what effect that color. So it's always better to know what hue is in your color, in your tube color first, and then what saturation, and of course what value. And so, but the color wheel doesn't show us value. It only shows us hue. So here's what I would like to do. I'm going to take you through a little exercise with 2 or 3 colors out of the tubes and show you how to find where they belong on the wheel. So we're going to start out with a tube color that's very popular among people who watch Richard Schmidt or who have become converts to the Schmidt approach. This is a yellow ochre light. Now there's yellow ochre and yellow ochre light, and the difference is more in value. So I'm just going to put this right. I'll just put a little squirt of that right there. Now you might say, okay, that's yellow. Oh, really? Because it says yellow ochre light. Oh, really? Well, let's not be too sure about that. The first thing that I recommend is to cut yourself some test strips, like I have here. I'll turn the blank side towards you. From those little index cards you can get at the dollar store for about $1, or not much more than that for a pack. Cut some test strips and just do this little exercise for every tube color that you're not able to identify on the wheel. And so the first thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to take some of that yellow ochre light and I'm going to put it on the edge here of this little test strip, just like this. Now, the next thing, find whether it's on the warm side of the wheel or on the cool side. The wheel kind of subdivides between yellow, green, and red, violet right in here. So these colors are on the warm side, And all the colors that have blue in them are on the cool sides over here. So we can very well see it's not here. I want to emphasize the word see here because it's seeing that you're trying to train yourself to do. So don't try to memorize formulas. Doesn't do you any good at all. Train your eyes to see it because once you train your eyes to see it, you never forget it. You don't have to memorize formulas and you don't have to have all those little charts and things like that. You don't need that. This is just a simple little approach here. So check it. It's not obviously not on the cool side. It obviously is more akin to the warm side. And you see if it kind of rotate it right here, and I'm comparing, just comparing. Now, just by the mere comparing, do you notice it's called cadmium yellow? Oh, no, it's not. It's called yellow ochre light. Oh, but you can see it's more akin to yellow orange than it is yellow. And it feels akin to orange, but you ask yourself the question, is let your eyes tell you which of these does it seem most akin to? And when my eyes register, yellow orange is what the answer I come up with. Now we can test that to be sure. Yellow orange. Well, so I'll put the test strip down just for a moment. Now, if you have colors on your palette that you can identify as yellow orange, and I have the cadmium yellow light here. You see, which is, I'll put that, see there it is, it's a yellow orange. So here's how I can test that. I can put some yellow orange on the palette, and then go to its complement. Now you see the yellow orange complement is blue violet. Okay, now so this gets a little bit tricky here, but if you don't have a blue violet, go with the violet, and this is if you have a violet, or you can mix red into blue and you can get a blue violet. But let's just go into a violet here. See how very, very dark that is? Now I'm going to mix a little bit of blue into that. That, by the way, is a dioxazine purple, it's called. It's a really, really strong tinting strength color. So let's see, about a little bit of blue. Is it a blue violet yet? It's so dark it's hard to see. So I'll show you how we can find out. We mix it and then pull it over on your palette kind of thin. And that seems to me to be blue violet. Something else we need to do. We need to get the same value of this blue violet as we have here of the yellow orange. And you can see yellow orange and the yellow ochre light are very much the same value. They are the same value. So what I'll do here, first of all, is what I call value correct. So I'll just put a little bit of this blue violet into the white, or I'll pull the blue violet into the white a little bit at a time until I get a value that's very, very close to this value. So, yeah, and you also, when you're doing this exercise, you also will learn a lot about color, a lot about what hues are due to each other. Now, the reason we didn't land it right on yellow orange is that it's slightly desaturated. And because it's slightly desaturated, I go across to the complement of that color to get the slight desaturation. So if this is indeed a yellow orange that's slightly desaturated, then blue violet should desaturate the yellow orange so that it will be very much like this. Now let's see if that's going to happen. So I'll do just a little bit at a time, pull just a little bit of that blue violet into yellow orange, and watch it change, and put just a little bit more. Now this is desaturation. This is what the viewer was talking about, going in this direction on the wheel. Where does the color belong in this direction on the wheel? So first of all, let's see what we got here. See, that's very, very close. I probably went over just a hair, got it just a little bit too desaturated. So it's very slightly, there it is right there. It's very slightly desaturated. Now that's how you know. If you can create the tube color from a mixture of that color and another color on the wheel, you'll know you have put it in the right place on the wheel. So you can see, compare those two, you can see how close they are. Then in that case, you would know that your yellow ochre light belongs right here on your color wheel, right there. And you can see now when I put it, just the yellow light itself, the yellow ochre light, when I put it on the wheel, you see how close it is. Now, if we can continue to desaturate that, it would continue to move towards the middle. And I'll do just one more step of desaturation for you, but I don't need to do the whole thing, because the idea here for knowing your tube colors is to know what hue first, what hue's in the tube color. From there, you can always desaturate once you get it placed in the right place on the wheel. You can always desaturate by adding its complement to it. Be sure that you have those two colors the same value, you won't be able to recognize it as much because it'll get darker or lighter depending on which way you need it to lean. So I'll just do one more step here of that, and just to show you what happens. As you can see, it begins to get more and more neutral. You see it right there. It begins to get more neutral as it goes that way. So now that's how you would identify yellow-orange, how you identify your yellow ochre light. Now, yellow ochre is going to be more desaturated. That's the main characteristic. It's also going to be darker in value. But it's also a yellow-orange. So if you have yellow ochre, you don't have yellow ochre light, try the same test. If you have a yellow-orange that's fully saturated, then you can mix its complement, blue-violet. And if you don't have a yellow-orange in your tube, if you have a cadmium orange, you can mix yellow in it and get yellow-orange. If you don't have that, if you have a red, like naphtha red or even cadmium red light, you can mix yellow into it and get the yellow-orange. It's important that you call these colors, tube colors, by their hue name. And the hue name that's on the wheel, not these modern names like cyan, magenta. Those aren't on the wheel, not on traditional wheel. They don't tell you anything. They are second, I call them generic labels for the actual hue colors. All right, let's do one more here, at least one more. Let's do the one that's a little bit more difficult to find, and that is burnt sienna. And I bet most of you have burnt sienna in a tube. Now, where does burnt sienna belong? So let's start back with the test strip and get some burnt sienna on the test strip. And I'll just put it right here so you can watch me do this. It's important, too, to put that, when you're working with test strips like this, put it right on the edge there so that you don't have any white paper interfering between this and the comparison you're going to make. All right, so let's compare. First of all, is it warm or cool? Well, you can see, you can almost guess this is certainly not cool. And then if you hold it in this direction, can you see it feels more akin? Your eyes sort of blend it together with these colors as I move it around like this. But the further we get onto the cool side, you see the eyes are not blending it quite so much. And we get over here, your eyes don't blend it at all. So we know it's not a cool color. So what is it? What is burnt sienna? All right, you see it's very, very dark out of the tube in value. And so remember I told you the color wheel doesn't tell us anything about value. It only tells us about hue. All right, so is it yellow-orange? Well, I don't really know. Is it orange? I don't know, but it feels a little akin. Is it red-orange? Is it red? Well, if you can't answer that question, then let's show you this. take your palette knife and pull it down onto the edge of your test strip, just like this, so that you see you barely get a stain. Don't mix white. I mean, not don't. If you mix white to do that, it's going to change it in a way that you find it a little less obvious as to how to identify it. All right, let's take this now and let's see if we can get an answer. So, as I move it onto the warm side, I already identified it's not cool. I know it's a warm side. Or it's not a yellow. Feels a little bit more akin to yellow orange, but that's not it. Do you see how it feels more and more akin to the orange? And a lot of people say that burnt sienna is an orange. But I sort of identify it as a red orange. So let's find out. Is it red? All right, now my eyes say, I'll get out of the way here. My eyes say it's not, it doesn't feel as akin to red or even red violet as it does to red, orange, and orange. So the debate would be here, is it an orange or is it a red orange? All right, so here's what we'll do. We'll start with the red orange first. And the red orange on my palette is cadmium yellow light. And so, where can I put it? I'll put it right over here. There's the cadmium red light. Now, cadmium red light, let me back up just a minute and explain something to you. The colors that have double names, yellow orange, yellow green, blue violet, red orange, those colors are what we call tertiaries, and they're different from the other colors because the tertiaries can lean towards their secondary in our sight, or they can lean towards the primary. So a red orange can be a red orange leaning towards orange, or it can be a red orange leaning towards red. And all the tertiaries are like that. Primaries are not like that. Primary will never lean. If it leans towards another color, it actually becomes that color. And you can see here on either side of the wheel, we've got tertiaries on either side of a primary. So if a primary red begins to get a little bit more like red violet, then it is no longer red, it's the red violet. Same thing in this direction with red orange. I have quick tips and videos. I have some quick tips too about this, but I'll go to DianneMizeAcademy.com and go down into our way down into our concept lessons, and you'll find some free lessons there for you that give you more guidance on this. All right, so going back, what we're trying to do here is to find out if burnt sienna is a red-orange or an orange. All right, so the first thing we do, if it's red-orange, then the blue-green on the wheel will desaturate it. Because it is desaturated, it's the reason we can't really pinpoint it on the wheel, because it's desaturated. So I'm going to take this first of all, and here's the experiment we're going to do. We'll go to the blue-green, red-orange, blue-green, orange, blue, yellow-orange, blue-violet. But we're going to blue-green because it's the complement. Now put it right here. Now we're going to have to change that. Well, I don't know. This time, since this is dark in value, we might just be able to pull the red-orange into the blue-green. This is the Rembrandt Viridian, for those of you who want to know. All right, so let's try that. All right, so I'm going to pull just a little bit of this into the red-orange and watch it change. And you see it's already changing in this direction. Look at that. A little bit more. A little bit more. Now, you might find also that burnt sienna might vary just a little bit in hue from manufacturer to manufacturer. It's an earth color. And sometimes those earth colors will vary in hue from manufacturer to manufacturer. But look at that. Can you see the comparison there? Now let's put that comparison. Let's see. That's red-orange. There's no doubt about it. But it's red-orange that's about right here because it's desaturated. It's not fully desaturated. If it were, it would be total neutral. We wouldn't see any color in it. But since it's considerably, I would say, I don't like to do the saturation thing with percentages, but I would say it's very desaturated. Not totally desaturated yet, but very desaturated. So we can put that right here, and we'll know that burnt sienna is a red orange, belongs in the red orange, uh, belongs in the red orange line on the color wheel. I'm going to also put beside that so that you can see the full comparison. Got to be sure I got that mixed well enough so that it's true. But just a little bit more of the green in it. Because you see, the more green, the more the blue-green I add into this red-orange, the more desaturated it becomes. And so if you add it gradually, you can watch that happen. We'll just put this right here. Look at that. Identical. So there you are. There, I could go on and on, but this would make this way too long. I think it's time now for you to pull out your tube colors and find where they belong, because that gives you information. If it's red, orange, if you see a color in nature or where any subject that you want to do a painting of, you see a color, if you identify that color according to its hue, then you'll know what to do to mix that color. That will begin with your knowing what hues are in your tube colors. And so if you identify it as red orange there, it may be a fully saturated red orange like this, or it may be a desaturated red orange to some degree of desaturation. And of course, the value comes either first or last. It doesn't matter. The value doesn't tell you anything about the color. The value tells you about how dark or light it is. But find those hues in your tube colors, and you'll find that you can inform yourself about what color you need to mix every single time. Be sure to view all of our quick tips. And while you're doing so, subscribe to the channel, click on the bell so you'll always get a notice when we produce a new quick tip, which is every week. And if you have a question, leave it in the comments section and we'll make a quick tip for you. Also, take a trip over to DianneMize.com where I have full-length lessons, downloads, DVDs, lots of other stuff there, some free stuff for you. And while you're there, you can subscribe to the newsletter, and that way you'll always be informed every time we do something new.